The Checkpoint is presented by GM Pharma, the first international multinational pharmaceutical company in Georgia. GM Pharma, to serve those who need it most.
Today, we chose to tell you more about the businesses of the future, and we will start with an exclusive interview with the UN Center for Artificial Intelligence and Robotics, headed by Irakli Beridze. He believes that artificial intelligence will gradually enter our lives. In the next 10 years, most of us will work, travel, study, or spend most of our lives in the Metaverse. So the UN Center for Artificial Intelligence and Robotics is planning to open a virtual office in Metaverse. Our reporter Tamta Jijavadze talked to Irakli Beridze on the world's digital transformation.
Mr. Irakli, thank you for visiting us here now in real studio because we had the first interview online. We know that you are having holiday in Georgia, and we really appreciate that you managed to use this time for visiting us, and this is really very huge honor for me to host you in our TV programs.
Thank you so much, Tamta. It's my pleasure to be here with you all. And I did enjoy the online interview with you, and now I'm enjoying even more the physical sort of interaction and the real interview in your studio as well. Thanks for inviting.
Yeah, thank you so much. Since we had our first interview, a lot of changes had been done in terms of digital revolution. In one article that was published recently, you say that in approximately next 10 years, most of us will mostly likely work, study, teach, or even travel in virtual space. So does it sound a little bit dangerous for us?
All right. So number one is that obviously in the world of technology, and especially in the digital technology, the changes are happening exponentially. So what it means is that we are experiencing changes on a daily basis. A lot of things have happened last year, which were breakthroughs, and a lot more will be happening in the future as well, and more we will go through those exponential changes. The faster the changes and faster that developments will take place. Now, as far as my article and the sort of a claim that in next year most of us will be leaving, traveling, studying, or having any kind of or some kind of presence in the virtual world, I really stand by that. I do believe that right now we are experiencing a dramatic change in that we had a Web 1 situation first when the internet started around 25 years ago or so. It was a flat internet where we were just collecting information. It was a nice and beautiful story. How it has evolved from that point to the Web 2, where we are now. We're kind of at the end of the Web 2 situation, where we all became bloggers, we all became interactive participants of the internet, which was not imaginable at that time when we started the internet. And the same story is happening, or the same transformation is happening now, where we are moving to the Web 3 internet world, where all of us will be virtually involved in a very different type of situation what we had before. And that Web3 situation will be an internet where not only virtually we'll be involved, but most likely we will be owning portions of the internet, which will actually make interactions different, but very interesting and potentially very useful in terms of solving problems. That's why I'm very optimistic when we talk about technologies. I do believe that we have possibilities of solving a lot more problems, and problems which we never thought were possible to be solved. So therefore there will be tremendous breakthroughs in the healthcare world or in the energy sector, as well as in fighting crime or bringing the security situation better for us. And as far as the dangers are concerned, certainly there will be a lot more possibilities for criminals also, or cyber criminals, and cyber criminals will transform into the Web3 cyber criminals as well. And that's why there are many different type of programs which we are sort of spearheading at the moment through our center or through our partners to actually ensure that we maximize the benefits and possibilities of this type of technologies and minimize the risks which are associated to them.
So what will be countries, like the states' role in this process, and what will be like the nations, national governments, also the role in this digital world?
I think that the world of the nations are still very big. We're still living in the world where our planet is governed by nations, and the United Nations is the organization actually which brings all the nations together, and we try to find the common grounds and solve problems and launch projects which are aimed at solving problems. The national governments right now are adopting different type of strategies in technology. Starting from 2016-17, we've seen proliferation of the national artificial intelligence or digital strategies, which is extremely important. Those are the governmentally approved documents which prioritizing different areas or specific areas, and national investments are going to those fields to solve the different type of problems or to contribute towards that. Therefore, within the world of the Metaverse, I think that nations will have a key role in identifying proper regulations, which would on the one hand minimize the risks, and on the other hand give the possibilities for the technology to grow, and without obviously hindering its development or sort of declining its usefulness and its launching or its support.
When we talk about the digital strategies, how do you think where Georgia stands in this regard?
Right, I think that, I've talked to numerous Georgian structures before as well, and there are organizations who have already researched quite a lot from the academia side, from the government side as well. I think that Georgia has a possibility to have its own digital strategy and cooperate with others to identify specific areas where investments can go, and how to benefit from those investments, and how to benefit actually from those technologies to numerous different fields as it will be prioritized by Georgia. And I do encourage, obviously, relevant Georgian structures to adopt such strategies and actually go forward with the implementation of it as well. It will be extremely useful. So, and our center stands ready to support in that process, provide information or contribute towards development of such strategies.
And finally, let me ask about the main purposes and goals of your center. I mean, Artificial Intelligence and Robotics that was created with your initiative, right? So what are your action plan during the next several years in this digital transformation of revolution? I don't know how to name it. I know that you plan to open your office in Metaverse. Besides this fact, so what are your plans?
Right. Thanks a lot. It's the center. I mean, back in 2014, when we started sort of a first movement of AI within the United Nations, and I initiated together with some colleagues, and we organized the first meeting at the UN General Assembly in 2015. A lot of UN delegations even then thought that the AI was part of science fiction and it didn't belong to the United Nations. Only 2 years after, Secretary General of the United Nations already called this technology a game changer and one of the top priorities of the UN. We did launch our center back in 2017, and the center's aim is to, on the one hand, raise awareness of the risks and benefits of this technology. So we do quite a lot of activities in that field. Number two is that we are contributing directly in the governance of these technologies. So to ensure the technology is used in a right way, in a responsible way, in a human rights compliant way. So we are developing specialized policies and bringing them to the adoption of the governments changing their legislations as well. Right now, for example, we work very closely with the European Commission, with Interpol, other organizations to actually create a governance structure of artificial intelligence robotics for the law enforcement, for the policing in the world. And it's one of the probably most sensitive sort of applications of the AI technologies, like it relates to the privacy related issues, and we talk about face recognitions and other stuff which been sort of widely talked about in the news and in recent sort of as a recent phenomena. And at the same time, we're also creating AI applications within our center, and we're launching those applications in the countries and in the organizations as well, within UN or basically for the UN member states, closely working with the technology providers.
Thank you so much.
Thank
and
you,
wish you a
Tamta.
huge success in your efforts.
It was wonderful to be with you and wonderful to interact with your viewers.
The Checkpoint is presented by GM Pharma, the first international multinational pharmaceutical company in Georgia. GM Pharma, to serve those who need it most.